We are 48 schools across 14 cities, but together we are one Shawnee mission, and we are all in.
Welcome back to Shawnee Mission Mic'd Up. I am your proud superintendent and host, Mike Schumacher, and I have with me my fine co-host.
Yes, Brittany Gonzer, good to be here. Nice to be back for episode 13.
Yeah, episode 13.
Rolling right along.
We are rolling right along, and we've got some amazing guests, as we always do with us. But before we get to them, let's talk about our last episode, Brittany. Just an amazing episode.
Haven't stopped thinking about it since we left, if I'm being completely honest. That was an incredible young man we got to meet.
Yeah, so if you didn't watch it, please go back and watch it. Caden Griffith is a fine young student of ours, special education student, special education advocate, an author. It was just heartwarming, inspirational. So
many things you can use to describe Caden. Like you said, advocate, future presidential candidate, right? Like just
forgot about that.
I'm just such an impressive individual. I mean, it was just, I don't know, I learned so much from him, even just in our brief time getting to be here. It was, if you didn't catch that episode, you got to go back and watch it, because he will really change how you look at things, and just you'll learn something from Caden, no doubt.
Agreed. And I mean, you and I and all of us are deeply involved in public education. We realize all of the work that our special educators do, but I think some of our community may not understand the depth of the special needs of some of our students and the
links that our staff will go to. They will stop at nothing.
Absolutely.
Dr. Sullivan was a great testament to that. So
100%. So go back and check that out. Again, just one of our best episodes, and really speaks to what we do here in Shawnee Mission.
Yeah, it was powerful stuff. So glad we got to meet Caden and his family, and we're just super grateful to them.
Absolutely. All right, so let's transition to this episode. So something near and dear to your heart.
Yes.
Yeah, so something unique in Shawnee Mission that we do is an iFair, an instructional fair.
That's right.
Yeah, tell us, before we introduce our guests, give us a lowdown of what the iFair is.
Yeah, so this is year 9 for the instructional fair in Shawnee Mission, which is kind of hard to believe. It really started out as this idea, a conversation, and just a few people in the room. We were kind of looking at each other going, gosh, we have so much talent and expertise that we could be leveraging within our district. Like, instead of always looking out, let's look inward. So our teachers just do such wonderful things. So how do we share that? How do we get them talking to each other? You know, if I work at Shawnee Mission West High School, I may not even encounter my colleagues at Shawnee Mission South High School or things like that. Like, how do we bring people together? And that's where the iFair was really born from. Yeah,
and so clearly, like all school districts, we're deeply embedded in professional learning for our staff. And so this is one of our professional learning days. And as you mentioned, we do reach out and bring people in sometimes, but we have experts here in the district. And so that's the vision. Let's learn from each other. Let's have some teacher efficacy and build off of that. So we love it.
It's incredible because, again, even as the director of professional learning, I am the first to tell you, like, I don't know nearly as much about certain content areas as the people who live it and breathe it every day. Excuse me. And as I think people have seen, even on our podcast, we have true industry experts in our district. We are so lucky. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
So let's introduce our guests. So let's maybe start to my left here. Savannah,
So I am Savannah Hollenbeck. I am the Executive Secretary for Leadership and Learning. Our department mainly handles transfers, but we also support the secretaries and office staff at all levels.
And why don't you kind of share what role you've played in the instructional fair?
Sure. So I remember it being brought to me a couple of different ways. I know that Vicki Kopp was super passionate about it in the beginning and still. And I also remember a lot of conversations when I took this position that supports secretaries about supporting them further and giving them more training. So my role was kind of supportive because I think there were a lot of really good leaders who took that charge and really made this happen. And I tried to give information whenever I could, and I did present at the first one last year. And I think the secretaries enjoyed that. They asked me to do it again, so
they did.
Having sat in their shoes before, right? Like, you could totally relate.
Yeah.
So, Brittany, before we move on to our other two guests, so this is our second year for a classified instructional fair. Do you want to say anything about that?
Big deal. Yeah, we're super excited to be able to offer this for our classified staff. We've always included them in the iFair as much as we could. But we really wanted to acknowledge that we know that the tools and situations you're working through every day are unique. So could we we really started last year asking the question, could we pull off a third iFair? And really Savannah and the team behind her were like, yes, we can absolutely do that. I'm like, all right, let's go.
And you did.
So we'll do it, and it's growing this year. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Joanna?
Yeah, I'm Joanna Houston. I'm the instructional coach at Neiman, and this is my 9th iFair as well as a presenter and as a participant. So I'm excited.
Miss Ewing?
Hi, I'm Caroline Ewing. This is my 3rd or so time presenting at the iFair, and I'm a video production teacher at Shawnee Mission South. So I'm excited to bring my expertise. In that way, I'll be teaching a session on social media and kind of just using it to celebrate our students' success and our teachers' success as well.
Yeah. Well, maybe let's start with Caroline and talk to us about, what do you think about the iFair? What's your experience been with it? Hopefully you think it's valuable, and if so, why?
Be honest, though.
It's probably my favorite PD day of the entire year just because, well, there's the element of choice, which I think is super important for our students, but it's also really important for our staff as well to have sessions that are actually catered to your needs. So I think nobody likes to sit through an hour and a half presentation where you're kind of told this is what the information you're going to receive, especially if it's not super relevant. And for me as a elective teacher, sometimes a lot of the kind of PD that we do, it's hard to find relevancy in it. So with the iFair, I've always enjoyed it because I can pick what I want and what I need for my own professional development. And there's a lot of options, and we have so many talented people in this district. There's so much to learn. Yeah. So I think it's a really cool thing.
So you talked about, what it does for the people that you're presenting to. What does it do for you as a presenter? I mean, how does it, I guess, build your professional capacity, and how does it make you, I guess, feel as a member of the Shawnee Mission community?
Sure. I mean, I think presenting at the iFair, it's a tremendous opportunity and responsibility because I know that if I'm attending a session, I want to get something out of it, and I want to make sure that the participants that come to my session, they leave with tangible, not just ideas and like kind of lofty stuff. I want them to actually attain skills and walk out of there like, I can do that. I didn't know how to do this, and now I do. So that's kind of how I run my classroom as well. Like, you can actually go home to mom and dad and be like, this is what I learned in video production today. I actually learned something new. So I kind of want the sessions to be that as well, which I think, to me, whenever you're learning new skills, that's how you can build confidence as well. So it's just kind of, it's a microcosm for what I like to do as a professional, and what brings me joy and keeps me excited about the profession is building skills and then helping others build those same skills. So
that's going to make you feel great, Dr. Yonger, to hear that.
Well, then, her passion comes through, and you see that in the sign up for your sessions. I was just taking a peek at that because I'm like, wow, you've got a big crowd coming your way. So they're excited to see you.
Well, I think, thank you. But I think that I also am co-presenting with Jillian Hodges, who does social media with the district, and she's super talented. So they're definitely going to have those expertise as well. And also, I think that people need these skills in today's world, and I have the benefit of working with our kids every day who are experts. So I can kind of bring their expertise and show it to the staff. It really definitely gives me an edge as a professional if I ever am working in the social media world, and now I could share that with my colleagues, which I think is really fun to get to share the expertise I've learned from our students and scale it up a little bit to more professionals.
And I think that's one of those things that just makes the instructional fair such a tremendous opportunity is the various skill sets and experiences that all of our colleagues bring to it. Yeah. It's amazing. And you learn things about people that you worked with for years. You're like, I didn't even know that you could do that, or that was your strength. And it's great to see people in their element and sharing with one another.
So, Joanna, you're doing a session on iReady.
I am. I am supporting the 4th grade team, but when we finished up and decided iReady was what we were going to go with, I thought back to, what do I need as a teacher? What do I want to do when implementing a new program? And so often I hear, show me, right? So that kind of rolled into more and more, and I asked the cadre teachers who had piloted iReady if they'd be interested in leading a session where teachers are students and they are showing them what iReady looks like in a classroom at their grade level. And everybody said yes, because we have amazing cadre members and teachers. So we have sessions for every grade level getting ready to implement iReady, and it's going to be the first taste of what it looks like in a classroom at their level.
So clearly there's a connection to an adopted resource here in the district, but we also have just sessions that people can not apply for, but submit.
Yeah.
And so kind of free choice and maybe just best instructional strategies. I mean, you talked about some of the other
powerful tools people are using in their classroom that they just want to share. Again, I think that's what's part of makes it so great. And this is kind of a good example of that, right? Like you can clearly see that connection with iReady. For those of you who are not familiar, that's our new math curriculum that we're implementing starting next school year in most grade levels. And so that's right. That's a very obvious connection. Yes, everybody needs that. But some of the other things that are more about just expanding your skill set, like how do you leverage social media? They're different, but still very much the same and equally powerful for our teachers. And it's the choice element is really what helps. It's not me telling you what you need. It's you having that autonomy as a professional to say, hey, this is what would really help my teaching practice.
I love that. That's the most powerful point for me about the fair. Why don't you and Savannah talk a little bit about your vision around the classified iFair and maybe what it was last year and how it's grown this year?
And it's been a fun ride last year, hasn't it?
It's been awesome.
We worked a lot, yeah. Maybe you could share some insights about, where this idea for the classified iFair started from and how it's changed from last year to this year a little bit.
Sure. So as I mentioned before, there were quite a few conversations in the past few years about advancing training for secretaries, especially elementary secretaries, but also the office staff and in the high schools and the middle school secretaries. So that was kind of in the background. And then I know, like I said, the idea came from a couple of different quarters, and it just, all of that noise sort of coalesced, and we decided, why don't we just hold a training session for them? And I think previously the only opportunity that our department really had to speak to them as a group was the office staff breakfast in the fall, which is still a valuable time, but this iFair is a much more intensive. It gives us an opportunity to give them more information and to get questions back from them. I feel like a lot of times that's really what they're coming for.
Great point. Yeah. I think that's how we've expanded so much this year is, okay, we got their feedback last year and said, what else, right? Or what else is there? And boy, we got to add, I think we doubled our number of sessions this year just based on that feedback of, hey, it would also be really nice to have this information. So yeah, it's been great to have their voices as part of helping us determine what to offer during that classified iFair.
That's great.
That's what I've loved about it, is that the feedback really drove what we do and what we did, what we are doing. There were surveys sent out, there were questions asked, there was, every phone call I have every day is feedback for it. So
that's a very ridiculously positive way to look at it.
I love that. Yeah. Getting feedback. That's awesome. How many different sessions are available for both classified and certified?
So at the certified level, we've got over 120 sessions that are being offered at each location.
Got it.
So pretty packed agenda there. And then for our classified staff, we've got about 25 different sessions that they'll have the opportunity to attend throughout the day as well.
We would hope that would continue to grow year over year.
Yes, I think we said we started with about a dozen last year. And last year, the classified iFair was a half day. We were really kind of testing this out, seeing how it went. So we've expanded from there. And we're really excited that this year it's truly classified, right? Last year we really focused on office staff, but we heard from a lot of our paraprofessionals and instructional aides that, there are a lot of tools and devices and things that, they're using day in and day out that don't look the same as our certified staff. And Spenny, you can probably speak to that a little bit too. Like, everything down to the computer that you use might look different, right? So
that's true. Yeah, secretaries are on Dell, and as we know, that's quite different from Apple. So I think it's been helpful for them to have someone in the room, giving them that information that actually has been where they are and uses that same system.
Yeah, and an opportunity to answer questions, like I said, about transfers or Skyward or, Kronos. Like, if you were to come to us at the Certified iFair, we wouldn't have a clue. We couldn't help you out a whole lot with that. But Savannah, can.
Yeah, but that speaks to the tailoredness of each of the different fairs, right? So it's different for elementary, it's different for secondary, it's different for our classified staff. This is a bit of a leading question, and anyone can take it, but I'm hopeful that we think that this helps us, recruit and retain staff, probably mainly right now, retention. You guys want to comment on that? Do you feel like it's, a way in which we separate ourselves a little bit and, we provide that choice and we honor, I guess, the individualness of our staff?
I mean, for me as a coach, I think it helps with teacher retention because we only have so many days at the beginning of the year or throughout the year. And if you're coming in as a new teacher or a second-year teacher, you're working with veteran teachers that have had opportunities to learn these things in years past. So now they get to go and choose something and really be a valuable member of their team to bring that new learning. So absolutely, I think it helps with retention.
That's great. Caroline?
I think I can speak to that in two different parts. I think that I've already spoken to the value of an iFair for a teacher, but also, there's like the session that I'm running is on social media marketing. Like if we market what we're doing that is unique the correct way, I think that can really enhance recruitment and retention. I mean, if we're celebrating what we can provide to educators and professionals, I think it's a really great thing.
That's great.
No doubt.
Yeah. Brittany, maybe let you speak to this, but we talk about our strategic plan all the time, right?
Yep, it's always top of mind.
Top of mind. So how, since its inception, the instructional fair, maybe how has it shifted? Has there been more of a focus on our adopted strategic plan and our initiatives?
That's always, with any professional learning, right? That's always the balance that you're trying to find, is that tight versus loose, right? Like we want to be focused to some degree, but not so much that we can't incorporate all of what everyone needs. And you really see that in the iFair as well. So while we have tried to kind of categorize or organize sessions by our strategic plan, we've also tried to leave that a little bit open to interpretation as well, just like we said, to promote that choice. But you definitely see strands of the strategic plan shining through in the iFair. Especially if you look, we do have a keynote session this year for our certified staff. So if you look at that, that's directly from the strategic plan and from the action teams working around that. We got a lot of feedback through this strategic planning process when it comes to professional learning. People have said, we really, when it's a critical matter, when it's something that's crucial for all of us, can we avoid a train the trainer model, right? Can we directly receive the professional learning firsthand, and not just, 4 or 5 people in our building who get the opportunity to go to a conference and then bring it back. But if it's truly that important, we all want to hear it and be on the same page. And I mean, gosh, you can't respect that point of view more. I mean, I'm so glad that our colleagues are that passionate about professional learning. And if that's the ask, this is kind of how we're trying to make that happen. As we know, we've got everybody on this day, and we have the opportunity to give them a common message at the same time, straight from the experts in our industry. So trying to take advantage of that.
Absolutely. So I want to come back to its Solution Tree that we partnered with. We want to come back to that, but I also want to shift over to Savannah again too. So I think one of the things that I see as a huge benefit of the fair is this opportunity for all of us to come together, right? In one place. We're such a huge district. There's very few times in which all the elementary staff can see each other, all the secondary staff can see each other, and the classified. So can you make a couple comments on last year? What was the response? Was there collegiality in the room? And just maybe speak to that fact that we're bringing all the classified staff together.
Sure. Yes, I think they really appreciated it last year. This year, part of our office deals with enrollment quite a bit, and so you'll have families who are trying to enroll an elementary kid and a high school kid, for example. So we're working across those grade lines. So part of my focus this year was to try to encourage them to collaborate with their feeder pattern, because this is one of the only opportunities that they'll have to do that. So, the elementary that feeds to the middle, that feeds to the high school, if those 3 office staff groups can get together and collaborate, I think this is a really great opportunity for that.
That's great. How about you guys? I mean, same question. What's it feel like? I mean, just maybe describe the day. And I've been there. I would describe it as high energy, just a lot of really positive vibes. You guys have any comments about just that opportunity to see people from across the district?
think there's an underlying buzz and excitement just to see people from other buildings, your friends, your colleagues that you collaborate with, that you sit on cadres with. But also as a presenter, if you're staying in the same room, there's not a lull of people coming into your session. Most of the time the transition isn't used and they're there right away and they're ready to learn and they're looking to see what handouts you have or what they can take with them. So as a presenter, it's fast and people are ready.
That's great.
I think my perspective, I went to school in Shawnee Mission, so elementary school, middle school, high school, through Shawnee Mission West. And kind of a funny story is I was presenting at the iFair, and my high school principal actually was attending my session, and Connie Springfield. And I was like, "Oh, hey, Connie," and she's like, "Hey." It's such an interesting perspective, but it does speak to, kind of full circle experience. We all have something to learn from each other, and I think that that's really exciting.
Did it feel weird calling her Connie? Were you okay with it?
Yeah, I mean,
You were fine. Yeah.
No, I think that it's a little weird, but also,
You're adults. Yeah.
yeah, we're adults, and I also, we've seen each other a few times in passing, but yeah, having her in my session was kind of is surreal, probably.
Very cool.
Well, and I think that's a perfect example, right? Like everybody has something to bring to the table. We can all learn from each other. Yeah, that's a great story. I hadn't heard that one. Shout out to Springfield. Shout out.
Brittany and whoever else, talk about Solution Tree. Why are we bringing them in, and what do we hope to get from them?
Yeah, so really, and everybody's pretty familiar with the PLC Institute that we hosted a few years ago. So that was just a great opportunity for everyone to come together for professional learning. And really the feedback and takeaway from that was people enjoyed that opportunity to learn the information firsthand with their colleagues and then take it back and apply it. And since then we've heard, hey, can we have more opportunities to do that? How can we continue to incorporate that? And, there are a lot of logistical things that make, doing a 3-day institute or something tricky. So we're trying to find other ways to kind of recreate some of those learning opportunities. So that's what we're doing here. So RTI is critical to everything that we all do. So
what's RTI?
Intervention. Yes, response to intervention. Yeah. Yep. So really all that comes down to serving the needs of all kids in every setting. Right. That's what we're talking about. So that applies to all of us. So when it's something that's that universal of a topic, I agree. Let's be on the same page. Let's have those conversations. Let's learn it together. So hopefully it's something that then everybody can go back to their buildings and implement and feel confident in, and that they know what they're doing.
That's great. How about you guys? I mean, what do you hope to get out of the Solution Tree sessions, and anything else you want to add there?
Kyoto.
Kind of putting you on the spot. Sorry.
Yeah, to be honest, I have glanced at the sessions, but I haven't really, I don't know that much about them. So I'm excited. I think anytime you get to learn from an industry expert, that's beneficial. So I think also when you're presenting, that's your, right. I'm not really thinking about much else. And then I get to just show up to the other ones and just take it all in. It's like a sponge. So,
Joanna, maybe can you talk about what professional learning communities are and why it's so important for us to make sure everyone's on the same page?
Absolutely. Professional learning communities are groups of people that operate to better themselves at all times. And I think when you asked about teacher retention, we have a lot of teachers in our district that did not get to go to the PLC conference. They haven't heard these keynote speakers. So I'm really excited to have conversations with people at my building that didn't get to experience that, and to sit beside them in these keynotes and to sit beside them in these breakout sessions and have those conversations and that learning so that it all connects. So
perfect answer. Yeah. So as we're wrapping up, anything else that we should have asked that you want to highlight?
Yeah, I guess I would say thank you to all of the people that are presenting. It takes hundreds of presenters throughout our district to pull off a day like this, to run 3 instructional fairs simultaneously. We can't do that without our staff, and just how awesome and willing to share with one another they are. I just love and appreciate that about our district so much, that there's always somebody who's willing to share and just kind of lead in that way. So that would be the one thing that I would just be remiss if I didn't call out, is just the number of hands that it takes. Even beyond our staff who are presenting the sessions, our instructional technology team who make sure we've got hundreds of functioning projectors and microphones and all this on that day, and our O&M staff setting up to have 1,500 people at each of these sites. It's a tremendous.
It's a heavy lift.
It takes lots and lots of hands.
That's great. Yeah. Well, as we're wrapping up, guys, I'm going to throw it to you and see if there's anything else you want to add. But just thank you again for doing the iFair and participating and helping us celebrate what happens at the iFair. So I'm going to look over to Savannah. Anything else you want to add about the Classified iFair in general?
I'm super excited. I would like to note that we couldn't do it without you either. You make it really easy to be a presenter. And so thanks. Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Caroline, anything?
Well, yeah, I wanted to thank Dr. Gonzo and Dr. Schumacher for giving us an opportunity and continue to push innovative ways for us to feel like our PD is relevant, because it's super important. I also just, I'm excited to see all the people that attend the session, and I'm excited to see other people present as well. It's an exciting day.
That's great.
Yeah, and I'm just really excited to learn from other people too. We have so many amazing teachers in our own buildings, but how often do we get to go to other buildings and learn from each other? So that's my favorite part of the day, and I'm excited to get out and see everyone around our district that's doing great things.
Dr. G, anything else?
No, well, I think the excitement is the common thing,
Yeah.
right? We're ready.
You can feel it.
So
Very good. Well, guys, thank you so much again for sitting with us and celebrating the iFair. Just a reminder to our community that new episodes of the show will drop every other week on Thursdays. You can check out those past episodes like Caden on smsd.org and send us story ideas or feedback. We, of course, want this to be a place where we can answer those questions, engage with our ever-supportive community.
wow, absolutely. And let's talk a little bit about what our next episode is going to be as well. Dr. Schumacher, can you give us a little sneak peek?
Yeah, we just keep coming up with these great ideas to highlight here in Shawnee Mission. So women in leadership is a huge thing here in Shawnee Mission and across the state, but really here in Shawnee Mission. And so we're going to talk about women in leadership and all of the great things that are happening there and how it's, pushing the Shawnee Mission School District forward.
Yeah, that should be a fun time for sure. And that group has just grown and really taken off. So, yeah. Well, we always like to give some thanks to some individuals as well before we leave. So before we get to our featured photo, let's be sure to give a thank you to McKenna Campbell, our music tech student at East, who created our music, and our communications team, of course, as well.
Absolutely. And so for the featured photo, speaking of women in leadership, so here's an example of it, as our team's putting this up on the screen. This is at North High School, their Women in Leadership group. And so... yeah, talk a little bit about what we're seeing here, Dr. Gonzer.
Yeah, so leadership looks like a lot of things, but this is really this group coming together to spread some kindness and some cheer throughout their building, acknowledging the Valentine's Day holiday as well, just putting those positive messages all throughout North High School, encouraging others. That really is leadership when you can lift other people up. So pretty cool to see.
Love it. Great to see those kids out there doing that. So again, thanks for joining us. We'll be back in a couple weeks. So remember that we are one Shawnee Mission and we are all in.